Hello, everyone. Very warm welcome today to our webinar. We're taking you to University of Sussex International Study Centre. We're going to give it a couple seconds for everyone to be able to log on and join us. So just bear with us before we get started. Okay, great. Since we have a lot to cover today, I would say I'll get started. Again, very warm welcome for everyone who has signed on today. We're taking you to the University of Sussex International Study Centre. Very excited to have you here today with us. You are here probably because you have applied to one of the pathway programs offered at the International Study Centre. So we're going to talk you a little bit to what to expect at the University of Sussex. I mean, there is like the whole agenda, but then we're also going to zoom in more on what to expect at the International Study Centre. And then more importantly, our November intake, that's just around the corner. But before we get started, I think it would be great to have a round of introductions because I have an amazing team here from the Sussex International Study Centre. And we also have a student that has progressed already through the study center. So I'll say we'll get started. My name is Natasha. I'm the head of the recruitment globally for Sussex International Study Center, and I'll hand it over to Victoria because I see you right next to me on my profile.
Hi, thank you, Natasha. I'm Vic. I'm Student Services Team Leader here at Sussex IC, and you can find me here at reception.
Thanks so much. And I'll hand it over to Sergio.
Hi, I'm Sergio. I'm an international student from Peru, and I did the ISC program International Year 1, and now I'm progressed to the Computer Science with AI second year in the University of Sussex.
Thank you, Sergio. We're excited to hear more about your experience for sure. And then I'll hand it over to Tom.
Hi everyone, my name's Tom. I'm a progression support coordinator here at Sussex. I actually studied at Sussex as well and have stayed on afterwards. Nice to meet you all.
See, Tom, nothing could hold you back, is it? You stayed at the university. Fantastic. It's always great to have, you know, the perspective of you being a student at the university too. All right, over to Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a Central Student Support Coordinator, which means that after you've applied for a place on a course at Sussex ISC, I'll be your one of your main points of contact, and I'll be helping you with your accommodation, getting ready to get set up and registered with the university, ready for your studies, and basically any other questions that you have.
100%, yes. Alex is your to-go person, and he said he is the main point of contact for you, because I know there's always loads of questions around logistics, you know, for you before you actually arrive at the ISC, when Victoria's team, of course, will take over then. But we will share the email address that you can contact Alex then, and Alex, there will probably be loads of questions in the Q&A box as well, as we usually experience. So for anyone on this webinar, if you can please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen to pop in any questions. I mean, we're here to answer all of them. So we want to make sure that you're definitely leaving informed and have all of your questions answered. So I mentioned already a little bit of the things that we're going to be covering today. It's a lot of information, so do not worry if you miss anything. We're going to be sharing the slides, and we're also going to be sharing the recording with you afterwards. So we're going to walk you through, of course, the university, but also the International Studies Centre, and then we're going to go through some details that are important for your arrival in November, which is the welcome hub and pre-registrations form, countdown to your start date, so all of the things that you have to think of. We're going to talk in more detail about the location, about the university campus, and then the location to Brighton. Accommodation, Alex will be covering that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about insurance, what to expect, induction period, the program in itself, the November intake. And then we're also going to be talking about how to become a student ambassador. And we're hoping throughout we can just bring in Sergio and ask him about his experience. So any point in time, Sergio, as well, you just want to add anything, feel free to come off mute. We're happy to hear anything from your side, from your point of view. Right, next slide. So we'll get started. First thing, Welcome Hub. In case you have not confirmed your placement yet, you're probably not familiar with this. You really need to have already confirmed your placement in order to receive the Welcome Hub, which is kind of like then your to-go document in order to have all of your questions answered. Hopefully it has the pre-registration form, so it's an email link, or it's a link that will be sent to you by email to the email address that you applied with, and it will have the pre-registration form. It will have the induction pack, so from 30 days prior to term start date, that will be available to you. So that will be at the end of October for the November start. You will have the instructions on how to access your virtual learning environment. Even though the studies are now face-to-face, there will still be some elements of online, either self-learning or maybe some learning material as well that you will find on that virtual learning platform, a way to connect to other classmates outside of the classroom. So it is important that you know how to log into this as well, because you need to be ready with that when you start your academics. Events such as pre-enrollment events that will always take place before you actually get to campus. So those will be virtual, and it's a must for you to attend. Pre-arrival guide and emergency contact information. Emergency contact information is important to have handy. It connects you directly to the International Study Center. If you're running into any trouble, potentially, when you're arriving at the airport, or when you're seeking out accommodation, or, when you're getting to your accommodation, there's any trouble you're running into, you can reach out to the ISC and they will try to assist you as much as possible, depending, of course, what the emergency is. And of course, as Alex mentioned, he's your to-go person with any logistics before you start your studies and before you're arriving at the International Study Center. So you can reach him at sussexisc.css@studygroup.com. Highlight, mark this email address. This is a very important email address for you when you're planning to start your studies very shortly. Again, we're going to be sharing the slide with you, so you'll have that email address in there, but just make sure you always keep that in mind. Next slide, please. So countdown to your dates, to your start date, which will be either November, or of course, we also have a January intake. So you need to get CAS ready and apply for your visa. The CAS is the sponsorship letter that we're providing you for being a student for your pathway program. You can do either foundation, international year 1, or a pre-master program at the Sussex International Study Center. So it is important that, of course, you've paid all your fees, you provided all the documents, you have an unconditional offer, you have received the CAS document, which is the sponsorship document, and you have applied for your visa. You need to be on time on the 27th of November. You cannot arrive late for the first day of induction, because it is only a 3-week period. You need to be on time. January intake as well. If you've applied for the January intake, you need to be on time for that first start date as well, and not miss that 1-week induction period. So you need to make sure that you adhere to all of the CAS deadlines, application deadlines, and also make sure that you get your visa. If the closer you get to the intake, the more you probably have to check if you need to take priority visa services. Take advantage of those as well. You need to book your travel. You need to, you need to fill in the pre-registration form, which comes with your Welcome Hub. You need to check that you have all of the equipment. You certainly need a laptop, not, some of the assignments you cannot just do on your phone, on your mobile phone, or on an iPad. You do have to make sure that you have a laptop with you. So just make sure that you have the necessary equipment. Again, this is information you can find on the Welcome Hub, more information to that. You need to make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months after the first start date of your intake. If this is running close, your passport will potentially expire in the beginning of 2024. Make sure that you're extending this now before you're applying for your visa, because it always gets a bit tricky when you're applying for your visa with an old passport. Make copies of your important documents. You might be asked when you're arriving at the airport about any documents related to your plan of studies or your stay in the UK. So just make sure that you have that with you. Have some cash on you as well, not massive amounts, because when that's lost, it's lost. Make sure that you have just a little bit and no large bills either. Most shops will not accept £50 bills. It's better to have 20, 10, just smaller amounts with you to carry. I mean, most of the bank cards will be accessible. Just make sure that you're checking with your bank as well, that they are aware you're traveling overseas and relocating as well, so that they will allow you to use that temporarily until you open your own bank account in the UK. Book your transfer from the airports as well. We're going to talk a little bit about location later on, but just make sure all of these kind of things, that you might not be thinking of right now. It's a lot of logistics to sort out before you're arriving. Again, you can always reach out there to the Central Student Support Team, which Alex will mention later on as well with the accommodation. Okay. And then getting ready for the visa, as I had mentioned already, so you need to get a CAS statement. You need to sort out your accommodation as well beforehand. It is not recommended to come on temporary accommodation and then figure it out when you're there. It's very stressful. Make sure that you sort it out. We have a lot of tours of our accommodation. Again, Alex will talk about this later on as well. I always recommend to go for student accommodation for your pathway program, just because you're new to the country, you're new to the area. And so it's just nice if you kind of like have also a community to go to. That accommodation is just for students, just for the International Studies Center. So you kind of like have the connections and your classmates also with you at home, which is just nice, because obviously you're moving to a new country, you don't know anyone, and it's just nice to have kind of like a family away from, your actual family back home. So just make sure that you sort it out and that you do not live further than 60 minutes travel time to the ISC. But if you have any questions to that, if any conditions are still pending, you have not received a CAS statement, you can reach out to admissions@studygroup.com to get that sorted. Next slide, please. And here's just a brief snapshot of your CAS deadlines. If you've applied through any agent, they should be familiar with that. CAS deadlines differ from what country you're applying from. So just make sure that you are aware of your CAS deadline. The reason being is because they're different visa processing time. So just be, we're mindful that some countries take a little bit longer to process the visa and to issue the visa. So we have to set the CAS deadline earlier than other countries where the turnaround time is much, much quicker. So that's just the reason for different CAS deadlines for different countries. Next slide, please. I'll hand it over to Victoria.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Okay, so talking about Brighton. So as you know, Brighton is located on the south coast of England. It has inclusive free-thinking city in the heart. Brighton is inclusive free-thinking city in the heart of Sussex. So Brighton has definitely lots to offer for people with different interests and hobbies. It has a blend of modern culture and iconic architecture, sea and countryside. And I think the best thing about Brighton is that we have a good bus system which can take you around Brighton, and as well as to countryside such as Seven Sisters, Eastbourne, Lewes, etc. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Thank you. As I said, Brighton is a seaside town with all the bus and opportunities of a metropolis. With 8 miles of Pebble Beach and plenty of green spaces, Brighton offers plenty of outdoor space for relaxing and exercising. The city boasts more than 400 restaurants and cafes with food festivals throughout the seasons. And Brighton offers a thriving music and art scene and diverse nightlife. So as I said, it has lots to offer to different people. Next, actually, before we moving on to the next slide, I think there's this, we can launch the poll right now. Here you go. So if you just reply to this question, so what are you mostly excited about Brighton? So there are different answers to that, whether you like restaurants or cafes or the beach, music, art and nightlife events or festivals. So let's see. Okay, so while we are completing this, maybe Sergio, maybe you can chip in and explain your experience about Brighton and what you most like about Brighton.
Brighton is an amazing city. I would also like to add that it's a there's a lot of young people here because it has 2 universities, and they also have like several colleges. So it makes you feel part of the community. And being around young people really helps you a lot to adapt to a new place. There's always something going on in Brighton. There's always something to do. Living next to the beach is just relaxing. There's also Brighton Marina where you can go with friends. You have the lanes. There's so many activities and festivals, also in university. But also, what I like about the location in Brighton is that if you ever feel like visiting some other place like London, Seven Sisters, Eastbourne, it's really close from here, and it's very cheap to go. So if you ever feel like doing it, you can just go.
Yeah, thank you, Sergio. Yeah, especially with buses, as I said, buses really they take us to places like Eastbourne, which is also a beautiful place by the sea, and Seven Sisters if you like walking, or Lewis. Yeah, so let's have a look. So what we're excited mostly about. So the biggest percentage is about music, art, and nightlife events and festivals in Brighton, which is great. And then the rest, the restaurants, of course, and cafes, and the opportunities of Metropolis provided. Okay, fantastic. Okay, moving on to sorry, let me just share this first. Stop sharing. Sorry. Okay, so with regards to more about location, as Sergio said previously, Brighton is close to London. So it takes around 1 hour by train to go from Brighton to central London. It's also very easily accessible a campus, so you can travel from University of Sussex to Brighton 9 minutes, or it can take around 30 minutes from Brighton to Gatwick Airport. So Gatwick Airport is the closest airport to Brighton, so as you can see, it's quite close. I think that's it from me. Thank you, Natasha. I'm passing over to you.
Still on mute. Thanks so much, Vic. So yes, we are going to talk a little bit about the University of Sussex, but I really feel like, Sergio, I might want to ask you why you chose the University of Sussex in the first place.
Well, I know that I know perfectly that choosing university is not a decision that has to be taken lightly. In my case, I chose Sussex University because I needed a balance between my academic needs and an environment that I would feel comfortable with. And I consider that Sussex was the perfect place for that. In case of the academic program, the modules that I was going to take in the ISC and the ones I'm taking now in my second year, I consider them to cover the most important fields in computer science. That is my course that I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. And I felt that will give me a well-rounded knowledge of the whole area. As well, as you've mentioned before, Brighton is an amazing place that really motivated me to come here. It's really hard to get bored. There's always something going on. There's a lot of young people, and yeah, it's a brilliant city.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. There needs to be, of course, an academic, but also like a study-life balance, because you do have to have outlets, outside of your studies. Otherwise, you're just going to be very, very much obsessed with it and cannot balance this out. So it is nice to have, the campus is massive for the University of Sussex, and they, of course, have a lot of societies, a lot of sports clubs as well, activities that are happening on campus. But then, of course, you have also the proximity to Brighton, so you have a lot going on there. One thing that we always hear about the University of Sussex, first of all, they have courses such, yes, AI, artificial intelligence. They're working now also on building some curriculums for future courses in data science, etc. International development is very, very highly reputable and ranked in the world. It's something that put a lot of focus on sustainability. So they're really staying with the time and always going with the new developments in the world as well, and making this really, really interesting for the students. Another focus for a lot of students that choosing the University of Sussex is that they can mix and match so many different modules as well. So there are optional modules that they can choose during their program. You know, you might want to go with business, but you have maybe also a little bit of an interest in psychology, or something, you know, something completely related outside of it, international development, that you can then mix, and you can take an extra module with it without specializing. So there's loads of opportunities to make the curriculum your own, which makes it really attractive to students. You know, you're not just a engineering student or a science student. You know, you can mix and match and really reach out to across faculties as well. The other thing is a lot of placement opportunities. I don't know, Sergio, if you are also planning to do a placement, but there are many, many placement options.
Yeah, planning to do a placement next year. In fact, we're getting a lot of help from university. We're having weekly sessions about what is it about, what are employers expecting from us, how should we apply, how should we do our CV, how should we present us to employers. So I think that's really useful information that I cannot do by my own. I think that uni really plays an important role there.
100%, absolutely. And the nice thing about this location, you said the proximity to London, you don't just have an opportunity to find them placements in Brighton, you can also reach out, you know, and seek out placements in London. So, and the university is really helpful with that, and focusing a lot on employability skills that we also go through at the ISC, but, you know, we will talk about this later. So yeah, there's a lot of different things why students have chosen the University of Sussex, like, you know, in comparison to a University of Manchester, because of the different placement options and the different locations that you can choose because of the proximity to London as well. Next slide, please. And here are just like a snapshot of some rankings. These are UK-based rankings, QS rankings as well. They have just recently improved their overall QS ranking, which the university is really proud of, and they're just going into the right direction as well. They are 201st in the world. This is on the Times Higher Education World University ranking. There are different rankings out there, so just be mindful of that as well. But they pretty much stayed level in their Times Higher Education rankings for 2024 as well, and they have improved their ranking for the overall QS ranking. They have 5,000, or I think even more at this point, more than 5,000 international students from over 100 countries. So this is a very, very diverse university, but also a very inclusive environment for all nationalities. And also at the International Studies Center that we'll be talking about in a little bit. And one good stat that I want to point out as well is that we have fantastic progression success. Sergio, you know, is one of the students that successfully progressed. It's 94% and it stays stable. It seems to either improve or it stays at 94%. But this is 94% of students that are progressing successfully to the university. So this is a really, really good achievement. And this is with all the support that is being offered at the ISC through the academics, and also the well connection to the university with their academics and the exchange that we have on curriculums, etc. So yeah, if we're just going then over, I think I'll hand it over to you, Vic, again after the slide. Leo, you can jump already to the next. Thanks.
Thank you, Natasha. Okay, so here's just a link to Padlet where you can have a little glimpse of our staff members here at Sussex ISC. So we do give a little details about ourselves and also some interesting facts. So take your time later on and read that. So we have professional services, student experience team here, progression support, center leadership team, as well as some of the academic staff members. Thank you. Next slide, please. So what to expect when you arrive at Sussex ISC. So our expert teachers will deliver a high quality learning experience, making use of both face-to-face teaching and our innovative digital teaching solutions. You can expect classes of no more than 25 students, with plenty of discussion opportunities to improve your English. Both types of learning allow for self-study time to help you to learn to study independently. You will be assigned a personal tutor who is there to support you every step of the way to help you stay on track to progress to the university. As well as teachers will also be engaging with you individually in order to provide academic and pastoral support. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yes, talking about campus, so as Natasha's mentioned previously, so University of Sussex International Study Centre is located on campus. So all our students, even though our students are studying with us and they are not University of Sussex students yet, but they're already immersed on campus, and they can use all the facilities offered to the same facilities which are offered for University of Sussex students. So what do we have here? So we have study places obviously here. We have sports facilities. So in fact, we have 2 of them. We have our own health center here on campus. So this is when students arrive, we advise them to register with the GP here on campus straight away. So they don't have to travel outside the campus to register. So we have events and support centers here. We have lots of various shops, bars and cafes. So yeah, just link where you can access to more facilities on campus. So here you go. Thank you so much. Now I'm passing over to Alex.
Thanks, Vic. So as Natasha mentioned earlier, it's important to get appropriate accommodation before you arrive. It can be a competitive accommodation in Brighton, so it's good to get it sorted and not expect to be able to do so upon arrival. But the good news is that we're here to help you. Currently, we're working with an accommodation provider called Student Roost, which is they've got accommodation all across the country, and we work with them in several locations. So we know that they are good and they're a reliable provider. They've got a building in Brighton called Hillfoot House, which is just 2 years old now. And it is just a short walk, a cycle or a bus ride from the University of Sussex. There's a bus stop also outside the building if that's the way you want to go. Also, buses go the other direction into town, so it's very well connected for both destinations. So in terms of when you get contacted about accommodation, it will be once you've accepted your offer. And then the accommodation options that are available at the time, we will give you the most up-to-date information there. If you're over 18, we recommend that you first come to us to see what we've got, but you can arrange your accommodation independently if there's something that you've got in mind. Though it is important that you still, I think as Natasha said earlier, to bear in mind the commute. So it's good to live close to the ISC because you've got to be traveling in and out every day. Students starting their course in January will hear from us regarding accommodation close to the course start date because we're focused on the November intake accommodation at the moment. But if you do have any questions from whichever intake you're thinking about joining us on, then get in touch with the Central Student Support Team email address. Next slide, please. So here's just a snapshot of some of the features of Hillfoot House, which is the accommodation we're currently using. So you've got all of your bills included in your rent fee, comes with a double bed. You've got the private kitchen is just for the studio rooms, but you've got a shared kitchen with a small number of students for the for ensuite rooms. All of the rooms come with an ensuite private bathroom, and then you've got storage for all of your bits and all of your clothes, as well as a study area with that desk and chair there. The link that you see at the bottom there, that will be updated with whatever our accommodation offering is at the time. So so currently it shows the options at Hillfoot House, and then on the right there you've got just some of the extra items that come with the extra features that come with the accommodation as well. Thanks. That is handing over now to, is that back to Vic?
I think it's Tom.
To me.
Tom.
Yeah, it's to me. So yeah, again, just reintroduce myself. I'm Tom. I'm Progression Support Coordinator here at Sussex. And like I said, I studied here at Sussex and loved it so much. I stayed on afterwards for many of the reasons that we've discussed already. So my job here is to support you to succeed whilst you're here and enhance your experience by organising things such as a great enrichment programme, which we'll go into in a little bit. So this support starts from the moment you arrive. I'll be one of the first friendly faces you see when you step through the doors for your induction program. So all of the areas and bullet points that you can see on your screen in this presentation, we will be covering to make sure you are fully settled and make your transition smooth to the UK and to Brighton and living in a new place. Attendance at all these sessions is mandatory, but you'll definitely want to be involved in them and meet all of the other new students that will be starting when you are here as well. So like Vic said, we will help you register with a doctor. We will help you with any UK laws and the cultures and adapting to the differences. You'll be meeting your tutors as well and introducing to all the systems and softwares that you'll need. And yeah, the most important one for me, one of the best bits is the social activities and events where you'll get to socialise and have fun with your new classmates and maybe make some friends for life. As has been mentioned by Sergio, there's so much to do here at Sussex and get involved with, and there are some amazing societies and initiatives which we will look at on the next slide, if that's okay. Perfect. So as you can see, there's loads of societies, lots of sports facilities, all on campus, and lots of places to eat as well. So for instance, you could join the Football Society, you could write for the university newspaper, you could even join the Harry Potter Society. There is, really something here for everyone, all hobbies, all interests, all skills. If you want to enhance your CV, there'll be societies, committees, initiatives you can join in with. So in terms of sports pitches, there's sports pitches and gyms, you name it, we have all of those facilities for football, basketball, tennis, the gyms, etc. Also, you'll never get hungry with all the bars and restaurants and markets that we have, serving great food and drinks with cuisines from all over the world. It's not just English food. You've got Mexican, you've got Chinese, Indian. We have pop-up markets every single week. We bring in local food from all over Brighton, serving cuisine, like I said, from all over the world. So yeah, you will definitely never get hungry. I'm going to just refer to Sergio here quickly, if that's okay. So just to check, did you get involved in any societies or activities last year?
Yeah, in fact I joined the Latin American Society last year. For me, it was like very helpful in my time here because it's not very common to see other people from Latin America here in England. All over the UK, it's very rare. So I joined them. It was basically like if I was a Sussex student already. Of course, I also joined other social sessions like the football session. It was twice a week. You could meet a lot of people there. You play for fun. In the social sessions, all abilities are welcome to play. And I also visited once the Access Society, which is about my major, computer science. So they do workshops related to that. So that really helped me not only to give me a better insight about what was coming next year, but also to meet other people that are doing the same course as I. So I really enjoyed my time, and I think I did a good balance between sports, my identity, and also my course, because that's what Sussex was offering me.
Yeah, I think you've covered, like I said, the academic side of things in terms of the Hack Sussex, the sports, social aspect with the football, and like the identity of meeting people, because you like to come here, but it's also important to try and you obviously try and get involved in the culture here, but it's important to try and mix and meet with people that share that same interest of coming from somewhere where you've come from, etc., and have that shared experience with them and have that community, which is something we really promote here through enrichment and through our academic programs and through the campus life and the community, is that you've got this community of people that you can speak to and rely on, and have that support from, which is Sussex is really great at doing. And was there anything particularly on the campus, Sergio, that you most enjoyed? Was there one thing you could pick out that you liked about Sussex's campus?
Well, Sussex facilities are amazing. I think studying abroad, in fact, I think it's a huge task for everyone, but the facilities just make it easier. You can always find a place to study. It can be inside a building such as the student center or the library, or you can do it just outside or next to uni in Stamford Park, where it's really quiet. As well, if as you said, if you get hungry about it in uni and you don't have time to go back home and eat something, you have Eat Central. You also have Falmer Bar. There's also sometimes like the pop-out markets, as you said. And yeah, I think it covers everything a student needs.
Perfect. Yeah, great. And you mentioned quickly then about Stanmer Park. So the campus is a really green campus, so it doesn't feel like you're in like a really built up area. You've got all the trees and the green areas, you've got ponds, you've also got we're the only university within a national park as well. So you've got 100 miles of rolling British countryside. It's a bit like the Windows Saver kind of thing. You've got so much you can go and explore just right on your doorstep on the campus. So yeah, like Sergio said, there's so much here. If we go on to the next slide, we'll just talk about a bit about other activities that you can do here at Sussex in terms of extracurricular. So these are just some of a pick of some of the activities you can be involved with. So we really push students to kind of lead on activities and in events here. So for instance, you could raise awareness of the environment and make Sussex ISC a greener place by joining the Sustainability Society, which is a really significant focus for all students and staff here. We also have the buddy scheme, which helps students settle into life here at Sussex by providing you with a Sussex University student who can give you advice or take you to social events, which is a really useful initiative to have. And we also have the really popular language cafe. So this provides students with a space to share their language or learn a new language. And like I said, it's really popular. And yeah, you can meet people from all over the world. As I mentioned throughout this, there's something here for everyone to help you relax and enjoy yourself. And we will be there every step of the way to support you. And yeah, I hope we can meet you all very soon. And yeah, I'll now hand back to Natasha.
Thanks so much, Tom. Yeah, honestly, there is just so much happening and taking place at the ISC, but also then at the university campus. So you will have just so much to get involved in. And I think this is just what I can recommend. Take advantage of all of this. I think Sergio would agree with that because it just teaches you so much about yourself as well. It just only can help you then with figuring out your career pathway. So I'm just going to go through some just more general stuff, preparation really for you, just things to keep in mind as well. So it's going to be a lot of straightforward facts for you that I know it's going to be maybe a little bit overwhelming. But again, to reassure, we're going to share all of these slides with you at the end, and then you can go through it at your own time, and you can also refer back to the recording later, so do not worry if you've missed anything. I want to briefly mention our insurance. By default, typically we add this to your offer letter because we really highly recommend to take up extra insurance while you're a student in the UK. I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, is to be really cautious and having always a backup for any emergencies that can arise. And the Study Care Insurance Plus offers that. So on our website, and you will have a reference link to that in your offer letter as well. Just have a look through the policy. You don't have to take Study Care Insurance Plus if you have your own insurance, but I just recommend to have a not a third party, but just a private health insurance on top of the NHS coverage that you have with your visa application. So just make sure that you understand the difference between those two. One is public coverage, one is private. The private gives you more support when you have any emergencies that are maybe falling out on any sickness related emergencies. So just have a look. I highly recommend to have a look at that while you are, getting ready for your studies. Next slide, please. Okay, so one other opportunity to get involved and to build up your soft skills and extracurricular activities is to become a student ambassador. You can apply already before you even arrive at the ISC, or of course you can apply for that when you're at the International Study Center. What you will benefit from is, you know, building experience and skills, soft skills, as I mentioned. I mean, I like to reiterate soft skills and the importance of it, because this is what's going to set you apart from all of the other graduates that are also going for degrees, different universities, at the University of Sussex. If you're in an interview, your soft skills is what's going to score you that job at the end. So it is really crucial for you to build up on those soft skills throughout your degree. You have professional training sessions. You can create an international network with this as well. You can improve your CV. And possible future internship opportunities. These are all just amongst some of the benefits that you can have of becoming a student ambassador. And what you will be getting involved is for example, like Sergio, who is reaching out and helping us here to really just bring, you know, the student perspective on some of the informative sessions that we're giving to students. Because just like you, Sergio, was in your position when you were not really deciding yet, you know, what university you want to start out at, or, you know, pathway programs, what does that actually mean? So you maybe need some guidance, you need some help, you need to bring that a little bit closer of your expectations of that particular university, of that particular pathway. So student ambassadors are there to help students that have applied and are considering, just to bring really that excitement from the International Study Center, that excitement from the university campus closer to you. That will, you know, involve then sharing vlogs, but also sharing blogs, photography, recordings, answering any questions that might come in, attending events such as these, but also face-to-face. So there's different opportunities that you can get involved in as a student ambassador. And a really great opportunity to really polish up your CV as well with that. Next slide, please. Are we showing the video, Leo, or would you like me to skip over it and so they can watch it at their own time, just because we are short on time?
Yeah, let's skip the video.
Okay, so this video is really, really a good summary of what you can expect when being a student ambassador. So just take some time to watch this video when we're sharing the slides with you. Okay. We can move on to the next. Okay, so I have a quick poll for everyone who is here. Let me just launch this. And the question is just, are you interested in joining us in November? And there's, of course, a clear answer, yes, or I'm still considering my options, or I prefer January intake. So it's just good for us to know. We're going to be talking a little bit more now about the November induction period and what you can expect, and, you know, what some students have said about it, so that you can just answer. Hopefully we're answering then all of your questions, especially if you're still considering your options. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and I'll share the results. So most of you have actually said yes, which is fantastic. And then still somebody considering the options. We're going to talk about the November now, the induction period. So it starts on the 27th of November. It's only a 3-week period and it's an induction period. So you're not going to have any academic content. You are going to be first joining for the 3 weeks induction. Then you have the winter break, like all of the other students that started in September. You're joining them in the winter break. And then you're starting off, the September students are starting off the second semester, and the January students are joining us then for the 15th of January for the first term. And you will be joining then for the academic content, for the academic course, you will be joining the January students. But what you really benefit of is a 3 weeks period where you can really get settled, sort out all of the things that, you know, need to be sorting out, bank account, traveling to and from accommodation to the ISC. Maybe you still need to figure out your way. You can see on all of these extracurricular activities that are available to you. You can apply for becoming an ambassador. You can get involved with societies, sports clubs, really scope out the whole area. Sometimes when you're arriving for January or September, you only have 1 week induction. And that is a lot of information crammed in 1 week that Tom and Vic can probably confirm as well. It's just a lot of information then for the students. And then you start in the second week straight with your academics. But in this induction period, in that 3 weeks induction period, if you're going to the next slide, there's a little bit of feedback from a student. They've actually really enjoyed it. So we had this November intake last year for the first time, and the team at the ISC enjoyed it, and also the students enjoyed it, just because it was really a longer time period, a more relaxed, less stressful time period to get settled, to get the all onboarding out of the way, to really get involved in the environment, really getting your way around the campus and also Brighton, doing a lot of excursions, but also getting to meet your classmates already, building some connections before you then straight and jump into your academics in January. Plus you have then also the nice winter break. And to be honest with you, it's lovely to be in the UK for Christmas break, because everything is going to be nice in lights, and you will have that Christmas spirit around, which changes any country really that celebrates Christmas. I don't really know how to explain it. You have to be here to feel that atmosphere. It's just different. And so it's just a really lovely time to be here in the UK as well. And again, a longer time period for you to really readjust. Do not underestimate how overwhelming it can be to move to the UK for the first time, especially if it's for your undergrad. You know, you're away from your family for the first time. And it's quite nice if you have a longer time period to readjust, meet friends, you know, meet your classmates and connect and build like some bond before you start then and focus on your academics. All right, next slide. I think that we have a sample timetable. So this is just giving you an idea what your schedule could look like. It's 15 contact hours per week, and it's important that you're arriving on the 27th of November. Again, the induction period is only 3 weeks, so you cannot arrive late, because then you're going to be missing a lot of it. So just familiarize yourself a little bit. Again, it's a sample timetable, might change slightly from year to year as well, but you know, it's just giving you a lot of different information, but spread across 3 weeks. All right, next slide. And then what happens next? So if you're interested, you have not confirmed your place yet, then you can still do that. You have to, of course, provide all of your documents in order to get an unconditional offer. You need to make all of your fee payments. There is a tuition fee payment due before you get your CAS statement. The CAS statement is your sponsor letter that you need in order to apply for your visa, and there is different CAS deadlines with that connected to from the country that you're applying from, because every country has different processing timing when it comes to the visa. So just make sure you know that you keep that in mind. Once you have signed you know your CAS, you got all your CAS ready, go for your visa application, do that as quickly as possible, and then start arranging your flights and your travels to the ISC. Next slide, please. So once you confirm your place as well, you will receive an email with the Welcome Hub link, and the Welcome Hub has all of the information really that you need to in order to get ready. You know, as mentioned, the pre-registration form that you need to, the pre-arrival form that you need to fill in. Let us know about your transportation. Let us know about when you're planning to fly into the UK, because the more information the ISC has on your travel plans, the better they can help you and run in case you're running into any difficulties up on your registration at the ISC. So very important to sign this in. You also have a pre-enrollment event for the November intake that will be online, and that will be before the 27th of November. It is a must to attend just so that you're ready to go. The Welcome Hub will also include the virtual learning platform that you need to sign on for and all of the steps to take. And again, term start date is the 27th of November. The equipment for study I had mentioned earlier already, so I'm not going to stay long on this slide. It's just important. Do not expect to work from your iPhone or from your iPad. Android, any other mobile phone, you know, that you want to bring with you. It is just not compatible with a lot of assessments. Make sure you bring your laptop, and make sure that you check that you have not too outdated module, so that you are complicit with the virtual learning environment as well, and that you can access that from the laptop. But there will be more details on the Welcome Hub link as well. Next slide, please. So this is a really nice new feature. Again, an opportunity really to bring the ISC expectations for you closer. So there is an opportunity for you to connect already with the team at the ISC, and they can answer questions that you might have on general information, accommodation, student life, academic life, employability. And what this is, these are 15-minute sessions where you get to talk to them face to face. So this is a fantastic opportunity for yourself, but maybe you also want to get your parents to speak to anybody at the ISC. They will be able to answer then any questions that are related to these topics. They will not be able to help you with any admissions related questions, so that should not be posted, and that should not be the reason why you're calling the ISC. But anything related to really what your expectations is of your studies, what to expect of the university, those kind of questions are there for you to post directly to the team at the ISC, and they're very happy to speak to the future students as well, because it gives them already a first impression of you, and they're really excited as well to have these opportunities to meet you already beforehand. Right, next slide. And that's it. So we've come to the end of our session. I know this was an information overload. Thank you so much for being here all the way throughout. Very happy to have Tom and Vic here as well to support the session, because it's always great to hear from actually the team that you'll get to meet very, very soon, because the November intake is just around the corner. And from Sergio as well. Sergio, is there any advice that you would give the students on the call, before arriving at Sussex?
Just to mention that I didn't do the November intake, but I will highly recommend it. Yeah, I will highly recommend it, because I think studying abroad is very hard, especially for young people being away from home, and I think that that time is essential to adapt to the new institution that you're on.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm just typing away right now on a question that was here. But yeah, Sergio didn't do the November intake, which is absolutely fine. But they work almost the same. What I'm was thinking more is like, well, how did you prepare yourself? Especially when going abroad and choosing a university, it's nerve-wracking, isn't it? What did you do to prepare yourself, or maybe even your parents? Were they worried, or did they pay attention to a couple things just to make sure you are prepared?
Yeah, of course. No, also me, but also my family was concerned about me, because I was gonna be away from home for a long time. In fact, I emailed the ISC a lot of times asking about accommodations. They reached me out as well, and they gave me some advice about how to book an accommodation. Also, for example, when it's about like the traveling, it's very hard to have a long flight to the UK, because when you get here, the time difference is big compared to the country you're at before. Yeah. So that plays an important role as well.
And what airport as well to get to, right? Because I mean, technically you're flying into London, most likely, and there's already a couple airports within the London area. So it's definitely something that makes sense to scope out way ahead of time, and don't try to leave it for last minute, so you have more of a peace of mind when you're arriving at the airport. Sorry.
Yeah, and also well, about I was a little bit concerned about the English language, because I was recently studying English, so I thought it was going to be very hard for me. So, well, I prepared studying a little bit by myself, but I think that the ISC helped me a lot with it, and now I'm totally comfortable with the level of English I have.
That's really amazing. Yeah. Just to point out as well, because we hear sometimes students, they score really well in IELTS, and that's fantastic. But academic English skills are very different to just, speaking and writing, day-to-day English. The academic English skills sessions, they're really preparing you for what is expected at the university, because you're going to have to do a lot of different assignments, and the way that you structure it, the way that you cite references as well, they're very particular. And so it's really more preparing you for what is expected in your academics. I mean, just like the academic English skills, this title already says, not to get that confused with just the spoken English. So it's helpful, even for me, to take it. I've now, been living so long abroad and always worked in English, but I would have to take these classes just to be able to really be prepared for what is expected for me at the university than if I would be progressing to the postgraduate. There's one question: can I change my course or add any other module if I build interest in them later while I'm studying my initially selected course? Tom, that's probably a question for you. It's about changing a course or add any module if I build interest in them later.
So obviously if you arrive in November, you've got a bit of time to work out what kind of the courses are like and the modules, and you can speak to some of the tutors who'll be teaching you. And then the same when you start your course in the first kind of couple of weeks, there is always that chance that you can change it. I'd recommend just making sure that you do all your research in advance, so that you do think that when you arrive you have got the course that's for you. But yeah, if it does come to it and you would like to change your pathway or course, then yeah, you should just speak to someone as soon as you start thinking about that, and try and do it within the first couple of weeks of arriving, because yeah, we don't want to be like 6 months in and then changing. So yeah, I'd say when you arrive, speak to your tutors, and then try and have a think about it as soon as within the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, I know, especially at undergrad level, sometimes, you know, you're still quite confused on what you want to do. There is definitely certain ways, you know, within your pathway that you're taking, there is some more flexibility. But as Tom said, it's really, really important that you mention it right from the beginning if you're in between, because yes, you might gain more interest, but very, very likely you've already thought about it. So just mention it right away in the beginning so that they can kind of alert you to these modules are important for you to progress, and you need to ensure that you have taken these type of modules. So just make sure that you communicate this very closely to your progression team, but also to your academic tutors, so that they are aware what kind of like in between, you know, mindset you are in between degrees. Okay. All right. Well, this brings us to the end. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, Tom and Vic. You will meet these students very soon as well. I hope you're all excited. Thank you again for being here. And Sergio, thank you so much for taking the time as well to talk about your experience. Always great to hear from you, and from a student perspective who's just progressed as well. So very exciting. I wish you all best of luck for your academic year now. And you might see Sergio then as well in some of the societies, or maybe in the football club as well. So looking forward to seeing you all in Sussex. Have a great day, everyone.